Warring States Period. The Warring States period was one of the bloodiest times in shinobi history, stretching long before the hidden villages were even an idea. Back then, countries weren't massive nations with unified armies. They were small territories constantly clashing with their neighbors over land, resources, and influence. To fuel these endless battles, leaders turned to mercenary shinobi clans. Loyalty wasn't based on honor or long-term alliances. It went to whoever paid the most. The non-stop fighting made life tragically short, with the average person barely making it past 30. Children were hit the hardest. From a young age, they were expected to take up arms for their clan, fighting alongside adults against seasoned shinobi. More often than not, kids were slaughtered on the battlefield before even having a chance to grow up. Because alliances shifted constantly, grudges piled up fast. To protect themselves and their families, shinobi rarely revealed their true names to strangers, keeping vendettas from spreading even further. Out of all this chaos, two clans rose above the rest. The Senju clan earned their reputation for excelling in every branch of ninjutsu, while the Uchiha clan stood out thanks to the overwhelming power of their Sharingan. Their strength made them the top choice for countries looking to hire mercenaries, and the pattern was predictable. If one side hired the Senju, the other hired the Uchiha. The constant clash built a cycle of hatred where nearly every Senju had lost someone to an Uchiha, and every Uchiha carried the same pain towards the Senju. Even with that history of bloodshed, the two clans would become the ones to end the era of endless wars. At the heart of the shift were two boys, Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. They met as children, not knowing each other's backgrounds. What drew them together was shared grief. Both had lost brothers, and the same dream of a world where kids didn't have to fight and die in their parents' wars. That bond didn't last long once their identities came to light, and soon they were facing off on the battlefield instead of skipping stones by the river. Over time, both rose to lead their clans. Hashirama tried to use that authority to build peace, hoping to turn their childhood dreams into reality. For a moment, Madara seemed swayed, but his brother Izuna's death hardened him beyond compromise. While Madara refused, many other Uchiha grew weary of the constant fighting and began surrendering to the Senju. With his clan losing faith, Madara pushed back with one last desperate stand against Hashirama. He was defeated, and it was Hashirama's willingness to lay down his own life for peace that finally convinced Madara to accept an alliance. This truce led to something entirely new. The Senju and the Uchiha struck a deal with the Land of Fire's daimyo, establishing a permanent shinobi settlement within its borders. This would become Konohagakure, the village hidden in the leaves. Soon after, other clans like Sarutobi and Shimura joined in, drawn by the promise of stability. Across the continent, the model spread quickly. Some clans were inspired by seeing the two bitterest rivals form an alliance. Others feared that the combined might of the Uchiha and the Senju. Either way, they began to create their own villages in their respective lands. This movement ended the Warring States period, and replaced it with a new system, the Shinobi Organizational System, centered around the 5 great shinobi countries. Each one was overseen by a daimyo, who ruled their nation like a monarch, while the shinobi handled military matters. The lands were spread across the continent to maintain balance. The Land of Earth, home to Iwagakure in the northwest. The Land of Lightning, home to Kumogakure in the northeast. The Land of Water, home to Kirigakure in the east. The Land of Wind, home to Sunagakure in the southwest. And the Land of Fire, home to Konohagakure in the center. Each nation was named after the elemental chakra nature most strongly tied to its territory. Only these 5 hidden villages have a Kage serving as their village leader. With this shift, the world moved away from endless mercenary wars into an age defined by villages, alliances, and rivalries that shape shinobi history for generations. First Great Ninja War. The First Great Ninja War was the first massive conflict between the 5 great shinobi countries, and it threw the world back into chaos on a scale not seen since the end of the Warring States period. The records from that time are scarce, but what is known paints a grim picture of a world still struggling to adjust to the new village system. The root cause of the war came down to resources and dominance. Hidden villages were expanding their reach, often taking neighboring lands and rivals to strengthen their own position. According to Onoki, it all started with Madara demanding that Iwagakure submit to Konoha's control, an early sign of how tense relations between the great villages could become. Before the conflict fully broke out, there was a serious attempt at peace. Hashirama, Konoha's first Hokage, brought the leaders of the great villages together in what became the first Kage Summit. His solution was drastic but well-intentioned. He distributed the tail beasts among the different villages. By sharing these incredibly powerful creatures, the hope was to create a balance where no single village could overwhelm the others. For a while, the plan worked. Small-scale wars died down, but the larger tensions never really went away. Eventually, conflicts escalated again, and Hashirama did not live to see how fragile his peace truly was. After Hashirama's death, Tobirama Senju stepped in as the second Hokage. He carried on his brother's vision of maintaining peace, but his leadership was tested almost immediately. The First Great Ninja War erupted despite his efforts. During the fighting, Tobirama met his end in battle against Kinkaku force from Kumogakure. Knowing the situation was hopeless, he sacrificed himself as a decoy so his subordinates could escape. Before he fell, he passed on the role of Hokage to his student, Hiruzen Sarutobi, who became Konoha's third Hokage in the middle of the war. The war dragged the 5 great shinobi countries through immense suffering. Each village paid a heavy price in lives and resources, and the fighting left scars that lingered long after the battle stopped. Eventually, an armistice treaty was signed, giving the world about 20 years of uneasy peace before tensions reignited in the Second Great Ninja War. While the First Great Ninja War didn't produce a clear victor, it permanently changed the way shinobi fought. Combat strategies and tactics developed during those years continued to influence battles for generations. To honor the countless lives lost, Konoha erected the memorial stone, engraving the names of every shinobi who died in service to the village. It became a lasting reminder of the sacrifices made during a war that reshaped the shinobi world. Second Great Ninja War. The First Great Ninja War may have ended with an armistice, but peace came at a steep price. The 5 great shinobi countries were left drained and battered, and even with the treaty in place, the balance didn't last. For about 20 years, the world stayed relatively calm, but cracks slowly began to show. Economic inequality between the nations widened, and before long, countries were splitting into factions. What started as demands for fair rights and resources quickly turned into another scramble for territory, and this time, force became the answer. That escalation marked the beginning of the Second Great Ninja War. Unlike the First War, records about politics of this era are thin, but what's known paints a brutal picture. The major players included Konoha under the leadership of the third Hokage, Tsunagakure under the likely leadership of the third Kazekage, Amegakure led by Hanzo the Salamander, and Iwagakure, presumably led by the third Tsuchikage. Most of the fighting didn't take place in their homelands, but in smaller countries caught in the crossfire, with Amegakure suffering the worst devastation. Despite the heavy toll, Konoha eventually came out on top. Along the way, the war gave rise to figures whose names would echo throughout history. The most famous were the 3 who came to be known as the legendary Sannin. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru earned their titles during a fierce battle with Hanzo himself, who named them out of respect for their skill. Tsunade especially left her mark, becoming renowned as the world's greatest medical nin. She managed to counter every poison crafted by Chiyo of the Sand, and her breakthroughs in medical training changed how shinobi squads operated forever. By requiring every team to have a trained medical nin, she created a system that boosted mission success and survival rates, a practice still in place generations later. Her contributions were a huge factor in Konoha's eventual victory. The Second Great Ninja War was also the stage for other key figures. Tsukumo Hatake, remembered as Konoha's White Fang, gained his reputation during this time, but the same war also planted the seeds of his downfall. At one point, he abandoned a vital mission to save his comrades, a choice that led to Konoha treating him as a failure. The shame and rejection eventually drove him to take his own life, a tragedy that's deeply shaped the future of his son, Kakashi. The war also left deep personal scars. Tsunade lost her lover, Dan Kato, a loss that left her with a crippling fear of blood, and Tsunagakure, Sasori lost his parents, both killed by Tsukumo. Their deaths became the turning point that pushed him down the path of creating human puppets and later joining the Akatsuki. Chiyo, his grandmother, never forgot who was responsible and carried a grudge against Tsukumo for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, in Amegakure, 3 children, Nagato, Konin, and Yahiko, were left orphans by the endless fighting. Jiraiya took care of them for a time and taught them how to survive. Those experiences shaped Nagato's worldview, convincing him that the only way to end war was through absolute power. The Second Great Ninja War didn't just redraw borders or shift power between villages. It set the stage for some of the most influential shinobi of the modern era.
Gamer Supps is an energy and nootropic formula designed to be a healthier, cheaper, and more effective beverage over energy drinks for gamers or the modern anime weeb on the go. Its blend of essential vitamins, caffeine, and nootropics provide a consistent boost with no jitters and no crash. It has 0 sugar, less than 1 carb, and less than 1 calorie per serving, so it's keto and diabetic safe. Plus there's sugar-free options. I personally drink it all the time to be able to grind out these straight to the point and informative videos for you guys, and they'll likely be the only sponsor you'll ever see on this channel. So help the channel stay mostly sponsor-free by clicking the link in our description, picking from the many tasty and uniquely named flavors on the website, and use our code ANIMEX at checkout to save 10% on your order. It would be a huge help for us. Also, pick yourself up a aesthetically interesting waifu cup while you're at it too. They're collectible. But anyway.
Third Great Ninja War. The Third Great Ninja War was the third of the four massive conflicts that drew in almost every major shinobi village. It took place more than a decade before the start of Naruto's story, during a time when the five great shinobi countries were losing strength and stability. With their national power on the decline, smaller nations began fighting along the borders. These skirmishes slowly escalated, spreading wider and wider until they involved a full-scale war. Unlike previous wars, this one became a drawn-out battle of attrition. Every nation was pushed to its limits, struggling with shortages and manpower and resources. Konoha and Iwagakure were some of the main aggressors, clashing heavily across Kusagakure after Iwa infiltrated it to stage attacks on the Fire Country's borders. For Konoha, the turning point came with the destruction of the Kanabi Bridge, a mission that cut off Iwa's supply lines and gave Konoha the upper hand. At the same time, Iwa had his hands full with Kumogakure, who they skirmished with across other fronts. Tsunagakure was also part of the conflict, while Kumo directly clashed with Konoha as well, most notably when Jiraiya's student, Minato Namikaze, faced the future 4th Raikage, A. This was also the war where the 3rd Raikage lost his life, and leadership passed on to A, making him the 4th Raikage. Kitagakure entered the war too, targeting Konoha. They captured Ran Nohara and forced her to become the Jinchuriki of the Three Tails, planning to use her as a weapon against Konoha, but Ren sacrificed herself, choosing to die by Kakashi's Chidori rather than let the beast be unleashed inside her village. Her death shattered her teammates, and Obito, who survived and secretly witnessed the scene, completely broke. Consumed by grief and rage, he massacred the Kiri Shinobi on the spot. From there, Obito was drawn fully into Madara's plan, inheriting his will after Madara's eventual death. Other tragedies unfolded across the war. Ao of Kirigakure killed Hyuga and implanted their Byakugan into his own right eye, cementing his reputation as the Byakugan killer. The Battle of Kikyo Pass also took place during this war, involving Konoha shinobi against an unidentified enemy force, and marked one of the closing moments of the conflict. The war eventually ended with an armistice between Konoha and Iwa, the two biggest aggressors. In the anime, Iwa's Tsuchikage resisted peace until Minato single-handedly stopped an entire invasion force of 1,000 Iwa shinobi, forcing them to accept a treaty. Back in Konoha, the third Hokage pushed for reconciliation by making an unprecedented offer. No reparations from Iwa, even though Konoha had the advantage. While this helped stop the war, many inside the village saw it as a weakness. To prevent unrest, Hiruzen eventually stepped down as Hokage. Among the shinobi recognized for their efforts, the Sannin continued to stand out, but it was Minato who truly became the face of the war. His speed and deadly precision earned him the name Konoha's Yellow Flash, and he was ultimately chosen as the fourth Hokage. The decision stirred resentment within the Uchiha clan, especially because Fugaku Uchiha's efforts during the war were ignored, and his name was never considered for that role. This deepened the clan's mistrust of Konoha's leadership, feeding tensions that would later explode. The psychological toll was just as lasting. Itachi Uchiha, exposed to the horrors of war as a child, became obsessed with finding peace at any cost, a mindset that shaped his choices years later. On the other hand, Obito's trauma over Ren's death turned him into the driving force behind the next great conflict, as he carried on Madara's Eye of the Moon plan. Other villages saw their own figures rise. In Tsunagakure, Sasori earned the nickname Sasori of the Red Sand, and his puppets drenched battlefields in blood. In Kirigakure, Ao's Byakugan set him apart, and in Konoha, Kakashi Hatake rose to prominence as the Copy Ninja Kakashi, after inheriting Obito's Sharingan during their Kanabi Bridge mission. Meanwhile, in Amegakure, Yahiko, along with Nagato and Konan, led a group named the Akatsuki that originally pushed for peace in their war-torn land. At first, Hanzo seemed supportive, even meeting them for talks, but Konoha's elder Danzo Shimura and his root forces secretly sabotaged those efforts, staging attacks disguised as Iwa shinobi to derail ceasefires. Eventually, Danzo convinced Hanzo that Akatsuki were a threat to his rule. This alliance between Hanzo and Root led to brutal betrayal. Nagato, Konan, and Yahiko were trapped, and Hanzo demanded that Nagato kill Yahiko to save Konan. Instead, Yahiko chose to impale himself to spare his friends. The loss broke Nagato. Using the demonic statue of the Outer Path, he wiped out Hanzo and Root's forces. though the effort left him permanently weakened and reliant on a life support machine. With Yahiko gone, Nagato became the new leader of the Akatsuki and adopted the alias of Pain, with Conan at his side. Eventually, his group turned into something far darker, evolving into the organization that would later hunt Tailed Beast. By the time the Third Great Ninja War ended, the war had devoured countless shinobi across every land. The scars it left behind weren't just physical battlefields, it created heroes, legends, and bitter grudges, while also planting the seeds for the conflicts that followed. Pain's Assault. Pain's Assault is the invasion of Konohagakure led by the Akatsuki leader Pain, whose goal is to capture Naruto, being the host of the Nine Tails. Tobi is the one who sends him on this mission. Before Pain can move on Naruto, Jiraiya infiltrates Amegakure, forcing Pain to deal with him first. Pain kills Jiraiya but loses one of his 6 paths in the process and needs to replace it before setting out for Konoha. After uncovering Pain's secret, Jiraiya etched a message in Fukasaku's back and sent him off before finally succumbing to his wounds. Fukasaku escapes the fight and carries crucial intel back with him. Between Fukasaku's report, the body Jiraiya had taken down, and captured Ame's shinobi, the coded message Jiraiya left behind, Konoha gained multiple sources of information about Pain. While some focus on cracking Jiraiya's message, the rest of the village prepares for an attack. Naruto, knowing Pain will eventually come for him, trains in Sujutsu at Mount Myoboku. Kosuke stays behind in Konoha with the job of calling Naruto back when Pain finally arrives. Meanwhile, Team Guy, Hiyashi, and Hanabi are all away from the village when the invasion begins. Pain and Conan arrive on Konoha's outskirts and immediately wipe out the scouts. Because of Konoha's detection barrier, Pain uses the animal path alone at first to fool the barrier team into thinking only one enemy has entered. Once inside, the animal path summons the other 5 bodies and Conan. Then they split up. Animal, Asura, and Preda act as diversions, summoning monsters, launching mechanical attacks, and clashing with whoever they run into. Deva, Human, and Naraka and Conan focus on finding Naruto. Human Path reads minds. Naraka interrogates villagers to check lies with his power, while Conan and Deva threaten people for answers. At first, Konoha mobilizes under the impression that there's only one intruder. Once it's clear that there are multiple attackers, they adjust and push back against the diversionary paths. Civilians head to the hospital, where Sakura takes charge of defending and healing. Tsunade orders Kosuke to summon Naruto back, but Danzo kills him to keep Naruto away for his own agenda. From the Hokage's residence, Tsunade summons Katsuyu, who splits up and attaches to every villager so she can heal them remotely. Kakashi recognizes Pain's plan and fights the Deva Path. Asura joins the fight to defend it. Kakashi manages to take down Asura Path but can't handle Deva alone. To buy time, he sends Choji with intel of Deva's abilities to Tsunade. Kakashi dies after exhausting his chakra using the Mangekyo Sharingan to protect Choji. The fight spreads across the village. Animal Path attacks the location holding Jiraiya's prisoner, while Preda disposes of the Ame body Jiraiya had captured. Deva Path confronts Tsunade directly and grows irritated by her defiance. Human Path captures Shizune, and from her memories, Pain learns where Naruto is. Deva orders the other paths and Conan to evacuate before unleashing a massive Shinra Tensei. The attack flattens Konoha into a crater, with only the Hokage Rock in ruins remaining. Tsunade pours the last of her chakra into Katsuyu to shield villagers, but she collapses after. Shima senses the destruction and summons Naruto, Gamabunta, Gamakin, Gamahiro, Gamakichi, and Fukasaku into the ruined village. When the dust clears, Pain's 6 bodies regroup, Asura revived by Naraka. Tsunade, barely conscious, vows to punish Pain, but Asura attacks her, only to be instantly destroyed by Naruto. Learning of Kakashi's death, Naruto tells the villagers to stay out of the fight so he doesn't need to protect them at the same time. With Deva's power still recharging from his large-scale Shinra Tensei, Naruto takes advantage and defeats the other 5 paths using his new sage techniques. Once Deva's abilities return, it eliminates Naruto's toad allies and pins him down with black receivers. Hinata rushes in to help despite Naruto's orders, confesses her feelings, and is struck down. Believing she's been killed, Naruto loses control and erupts into his 6-tailed transformation. Naruto breaks free of the receivers and battles Deva with overwhelming force. He prepares a 8-tailed beast ball, but Deva diverts it, causing another explosion across the ruins. Running low on chakra, Deva retreats closer to Conan and Nagato. Naruto chases after, giving Konoha a chance to regroup. Once close enough, Deva unleashes Chibaku Tensei, creating a massive sphere of earth to trap Naruto. The pressure forces him into his 8-tailed form, but with help from within, he manages to break free and suppress the transformation. Naruto returns to face Deva again. Knowing its 5-second cooldown, he uses a series of tricks to outlast the intervals, finishing the fight with a Rasengan. With the last path defeated, Naruto seeks out Nagato, who directly challenges Naruto's ideals of peace. After hearing Nagato's story of how hatred shaped him, Naruto chooses not to kill him, placing his faith in Jiraiya's teachings instead. Moved, Nagato believes in Naruto's future and uses his life to revive everyone killed during the invasion, including Kakashi. With the villagers brought back, Konan abandons the Akatsuki and chooses to support Naruto's vision of peace. Konoha is left devastated, his people alive but his infrastructure reduced to rubble. Tsunade falls into a coma after using all her chakra to protect the village. Despite the destruction, Naruto is finally recognized as a hero by the same villagers who once shunned him. In the aftermath, the Fire Daimyo and the council convene. With Tsunade incapacitated, Danzo is appointed as acting 6th Hokage. His first move is to brand Sasuke, a missing nin, and to put a kill order on him. Around the same time, an envoy from Kumogakure arrives, demanding information on Sasuke, followed closely by an invitation to the 5 Kage Summit. Later, once Tsunade recovers and returns to duty, Temari visits Konoha on behalf of Sunagakure to deliver updates and check in on the village recovery after Pain's assault. 4th Great Ninja War. The 4th Great Ninja War breaks out when Tobi declares war after the 5 Kage and Mifune, leader of the Land of Iron, refuse to hand over Naruto and Killer Bee for his Eye of the Moon plan. He reveals that Akatsuki already has 7 of the 9-tailed beasts and plans to use them in battle. In response, the Kage and Mifune from the allied shinobi forces combining the strength of all 5 great villages with the samurai of the Land of Iron. The daimyo of each nation approve, and with Tsunade later joining in, the alliance is official. Meanwhile, Kabuto approaches Tobi with an offer to cooperate after Orochimaru's defeat. He demonstrates the power of his impure world reincarnation technique, swelling Akatsuki ranks with resurrected shinobi, including infamous former Akatsuki members. Both sides begin building strength and gathering intel. Kisame shadows Killer Bee while hidden inside Samehada, reporting Kumogakure's military activity. Anko Mitarashi and her team track Kabuto, leading them straight to Tobi's base. Other allied teams fan out to hunt for Akatsuki hideouts. On the other side, Kabuto secures an early advantage with his Edo Tensei, while the Alliance decides to hide Naruto and Bee on an island in the Land of Lightning. This has an unintended bonus. Naruto starts training to master the Nine-Tails chakra with help from Killer Bee. He gains a massive boost in speed and strength, though his control is rough compared to Bee's finesse. Kisame eventually gets exposed, captured, and chooses suicide rather than give away intel directly. Even so, he manages to send a scroll with key information about Naruto's location to the Akatsuki. With that, Akatsuki's preparations are complete. Tobi sends Kabuto and Edo Tensei Deidara to capture the Jinchuriki, but they're intercepted by Onoki, Akatsuchi, and Kurotsuchi. Kabuto escapes, but takes Yamato, using his powers to strengthen the White Zetsu army. By this point, both sides have amassed massive forces. The Alliance fielded 80,000 shinobi and samurai, while the Akatsuki commands 100,000 White Zetsu and countless resurrected shinobi under Kabuto's control. The Alliance organizes its forces into 5 divisions under Gaara's command as regimental commander. Darui leads the 1st division of mid-range fighters. Kitsuchi leads the 2nd division of close-range specialists. Kakashi commands the 3rd division, made up of both close and mid-range fighters. Gaara directly leads the 4th division, made up of long-range fighters with Shikamaru as his proxy commander. And finally, Mifune leads the 5th division, composed of special operation units with unique skills. In addition to these, there are 4 supporting divisions. Shizune leads the medical and logistics division. Kankuro heads the surprise attack division. Ao commands the sensor division, and Inoichi leads the intelligence division. Together, this structure allows the Alliance to coordinate on a massive scale against the Akatsuki. On the Akatsuki side, Tobi and Zetsu remain at the center. Their main fighting force is the army of 100 Zetsu created from Hashirama cells combined with Tailed Beast Chakra. Kabuto's Edo Tensei summons add even more legendary shinobi to their ranks, turning the battlefield into a nightmare of past greats returning to fight once again. Tobi also plans to deploy Sasuke once he recovers from his Mangekyo Sharingan transplant. The Alliance anticipate Akatsuki's moves and tracks their advance from the mountain graveyard. They expect a small naval force to attempt infiltration through the Gulf towards Kumogakure, while the bulk of the army advances by land through the Land of Frost and the Land of Hot Water. Both nations are immediately evacuated south into the Land of Fire. The divisions spread out to block Akatsuki's routes. Darui's 1st division positions itself north to guard against the naval path. Kitsuchi's 2nd division blocks a northern land route into the Land of Lightning. Kakashi's 3rd division pushes through the Land of Frost, but is later redirected to support the surprise attack division in the Land of Hot Water. Gaara's 4th division secures the southern border of the Land of Lightning. Mifune's 5th division forms a wide arc stretching across the Land of Frost into the Land of Lightning, ready to reinforce wherever needed and close the gaps in the defensive line. As the first clash breaks out, both Darui's 1st division and Gaara's 4th division find themselves pressed by major enemy groups. Shikaku Nara steps in to restructure strategy. Instead of fighting evenly across all fronts, he orders a focus on the force facing Darui's division. The 5th Division shifts east to link with the 1st, while most of Katsuchi's 2nd Division moves along the ocean to trap the enemy in a pincer attack. The rest of the 2nd Division holds their current ground. The 5th Division fills the gap left by Katsuchi's movements, creating a continuous defensive line. Meanwhile, Gaara's 4th Division begins a controlled retreat in a chevron formation to bait the enemy. Once Darui's group finishes its target, they and part of the 4th Division regroup and strike the enemy pressing Gaara's retreat from behind, crushing them in one decisive blow. This plan depends on fast movements from the 2nd and 5th Divisions, and on the assumption that the enemy won't fully commit to Gaara's retreating forces, since the odd maneuver would raise suspicion. Night falls as the battlefield stabilizes. The Alliance pulls the Medical and Logistics Division to the center, guarded by 2 Akamichi clan members. Everyone entering the compound undergoes chakra verification, cross-check with headquarters to prevent infiltration. But even with these precautions, White Zetsu clones disguised as allies manage to sneak in, creating chaos and casualties as they blend in and attack. With friend and foe indistinguishable, the battlefield descends into confusion. Shikaku recognizes that the only solution is Naruto. His new ability to sense evil intent through Nine-Tails chakra makes him the only one capable of identifying disguised Zetsu. Thanks to his shadow clone technique, he can spread this detection across the battlefield at once. With this, the decision is made to deploy both Naruto and Killer Bee, bringing the Jinchuriki into the war and setting the stage for the battles to come. At first, not much is known about the Akatsuki's war strategy, but one thing is clear. Their main goal is to still capture the remaining Jinchuriki. Kabuto takes charge of controlling the movements of the reincarnated shinobi, guiding them to their designated battlefields. Once the fighting begins, he plans to wipe away their personalities entirely, turning them into weapons while still exploiting any lingering emotions to unsettle their enemies. Part of this plan involves sending a surprise attack and diversion platoon made up of Sasori, Deidara, Chukichi, and Shin. They strike from above using bombs and traps to scatter enemy forces. To keep their army's approach hidden, Akatsuki moved the massive White Zetsu army underground. Even though many clones are eventually unearthed, thousands slip by unnoticed, reaching their battlegrounds with help from diversions caused by Kabuto's reincarnated shinobi. Meanwhile, Black Zetsu takes advantage of the confusion to infiltrate the daimyo's safe house on Tobi's orders. The plan is to use the daimyo as bargaining chips to lure out the Jinchuriki, but once Naruto and Killer Bee decide to take the battlefield directly, that plan becomes irrelevant. Black Zetsu's mission shifts to holding off the daimyo's guards to keeping them separated from the allied shinobi forces. By the end of the first day, both sides pause. The allied shinobi regroup, tend to the wounded, and strengthen their defenses. Tobi's confidence becomes clear. He never counted on Kabuto's help to begin with. Instead, he relies on deception. The Zetsu infiltration also has a second purpose, to force the Alliance to send Naruto out. Tobi already knows about Naruto's ability to sense evil intent, thanks to Kinsame's intel. At the same time, Tobi begins preparing for the next stage of war. He takes the former Jinchuriki and remodels them with both a Rinnegan and a Sharingan, creating his own version of 6 Paths of Pain. When Akatsuki began mobilizing from the mountain's graveyard, Anko Mitarashi orders her team to report back to HQ, while she stays behind to investigate. Kabuto intercepts her and defeats her. The rest of her squad is hunted down by Akatsuki's surprise attack and diversion platoon, though they manage to get word back to the Alliance. In response, the Alliance sends its own surprise attack division to ambush the Akatsuki in Land of Hot Water. The two sides clash, and the allies come out on top. Sasori and Shin are free from Kabuto's control. Deidara is captured, and several other captured reconnaissance shinobi are rescued. Fresh off this win, the surprise attack division launches another ambush, this time against Zabuza Momochi, Haku, Pakura, and Gari. Despite being outnumbered, they attack but fail to gain ground. The 3rd Division moves in to assist. Reinforced by the reincarnated 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist and Shin in the anime, Akatsuki inflict heavy losses on the 3rd Division. Zabuza and Haku are sealed fairly early, but the others prove harder to take down. By the 2nd day of the war, 3 reincarnated shinobi remain with White Zetsu at their side. A shadow clone of Naruto eventually joins the battle, tipping the balance and allowing the 3rd Division to finish the fight. Elsewhere, the 2nd Division is deployed at the border of the Land of Frost and the Land of Lightning. They detect about 20,000 White Zetsu moving underground into the Land of Lightning. Kitsuchi and Kurosuchi use Earth Release, opening Earth Rising excavation to force them to the surface. The opening strike wipes out scores of Zetsu, but the battle quickly drags into a war of attrition. Many shinobi are exhausted, and countless Zetsu escape underground. Most of the 2nd Division is redirected to aid the 1st Division, leaving a smaller force to face infiltrating Zetsu disguised as Alliance shinobi. The 2nd Division suffer losses and confusion until one of Naruto's shadow clones arrives on the 2nd day and exposes the imposters. The 1st Division faces its own test along the northwestern coast of the Land of Lightning. They clash with White Zetsu and reincarnated shinobi who slip past the 2nd Division. Commander Darui goes up against the Gold and Silver Brothers, Kinkaku and Genkaku, who wield the treasure tools of the Sage of Six Paths. The brothers initially overwhelm him, but Darui manages to turn their tools against them and seal Genkaku inside the Beni Hisago. Enraged, Genkaku unleashes his version 2 transformation and tears through the division until reinforcements from the 2nd, 4th, and 5th Division arrive. With the Kohaku no Johei brought in by HQ, the Alliance capture Kenkaku. With the Gold and Silver brothers defeated, the Allies turn their attention to other reincarnated enemies. Asuma Sarutobi falls to his former students. Kakuzu and Hizashi are sealed with Choji Akamichi's help, and Don Kato is restrained inside a 4-violet flame formation. The remaining White Zetsu are cut down, leaving the Alliance with another victory. Meanwhile, a section of the Surprise Attack Division transports their prisoner, Deidara, but runs into a newly formed Surprise Attack and Diversion Platoon. The division is trapped by Hanzo's summoned Salamander, Ibuze, until Mifune in the 5th Division Samurai arrive. Mifune faces Hanzo directly and defeats him. Kimimaru and Chiyo continue to fight until the Impure World reincarnation is undone on the 2nd day. Just as the 1st Division and its reinforcements finish wiping out the enemy, Tobi personally arrives on the battlefield. He summons the demonic statue of the Outer Path, which crushes the allied forces despite resistance from Kisuchi, Choza, and Choji. While the division struggle to hold their ground, they realize the statue is just a distraction. Tobi's real goal is to retrieve the sealed Gold and Silver brothers. He successfully escapes with the Beni Hisago and Kohaku no Johei before dismissing the statue. To tighten the pressure, Black Zetsu moves to capture the daimyo of the 5 great nations. He's intercepted almost immediately by the daimyo protection squad. Before the fight escalates, he senses Naruto's arrival on the battlefield and reports it to Tobi. With Naruto now in play, the daimyo no longer matter, but Black Zetsu continues to fight as ordered. One of Naruto's shadow clones showed up on the 2nd day to help subdue him. By the end of the 1st day, both sides of the 4th Great Ninja War are wrecked. The allied shinobi forces lose half their men, dropping from 80,000 to 40,000. The Akatsuki White Zetsu army gets cut in half too, dropping from 100,000 down to 50,000, along with several reincarnated shinobi already being sealed. But even with those numbers, the night brings a new problem. White Zetsu soldiers disguise themselves as allied shinobi and quietly start picking off key figures across the battlefield. The alliance falls into chaos, with suspicion spreading everywhere. Sakura eventually figures out what's happening, but even with that knowledge, there's no way to completely stop it. The Zetsu continue their assassinations while paranoia tears through the ranks. That same night, Naruto and Killer Bee break out of their confinement in the Land of Lightning. The 4th Raikage and the 5th Hokage intercept them, determined to drag them back, but Naruto, Bee, and eventually Tsunade convince the Raikage to let them join the fight. Their arrival instantly changes the tide. Naruto identifies a group of shinobi heading towards HQ as Zetsu in disguise, and wipes them out with Bee. He then sends his shadow clones across the battlefield, giving backup whenever it's needed. Along the way, Naruto and Bee save Musai and Nonota from the reincarnated Toroi. Elsewhere, the 4th Division clashes with the reincarnated Mu on the 1st day. Akatsuki sends in reinforcements, the 2nd Mizukage, the 3rd Raikage, and the 4th Kazekage to back him up. In response, the Alliance sends Onoki. They avoid a full-on fight until the 2nd day, when other divisions free up and can lend support. Gaara launches the opening strike, with which the 4th Kazekage blocks with gold dust. Onoki engages Mu, while the 1st Division fighters attack the Raikage and Mizukage from behind. The 4th Kazekage is sealed while shielding the Raikage and Mizukage, but the other Kage prove harder to handle. The Raikage shrugs off attacks. The Mizukage hides within his clan Mirage, and Mu is a serious threat until Naruto's shadow clone arrives, catching him off guard and allowing him to be sealed. Naruto then faces the 3rd Raikage. Nothing breaks through his defenses, and his attacks are too destructive to block. Naruto switches tactics and maneuvers the Raikage into his own attack, forcing him to pierce his own defense. That gives the opening needed to seal him. Gaara and Onoki continue their fight with the Mizukage, finally destroying his clan, but struggling against his steaming danger tyranny. Gaara uses leftover gold dust from the 4th Kazekage to neutralize it, giving them the chance to seal him. Meanwhile, Kabuto shifts focus to Naruto and Bee, wanting them out of the way for now. He sends Nagato and Itachi against them. Nagato attacks with summons, while Itachi activates Kodo Amatsukami he planted in Naruto before his death, freeing himself from Kabuto's control. Together with Naruto and Bee, he turns on Nagato. Nagato restores his mobility by absorbing Bee's version 2 chakra and nearly succeeds in ripping out Naruto's soul. But the three overwhelm him, and Itachi seals him with Susanoo. On other battlefields, the reincarnated Sound 4 go after the old Sasuke retrieval team members. They are defeated individually, but they use space-time technique formula Underworld Turnover to trap the souls of their killers. A Naruto clone detects this, frees the souls, and releases the Sound 4 back into the afterlife. The medical division focuses on guarding corpses with Keki Genkai so the Akatsuki can't use them. Reincarnated Hayate Gecko tries to steal the scrolls storing them. Yugao Vin. He manages to get it but is chased by Yuga Ōtsutsuki, his former lover. She hesitates to fight, leaving Sakura to battle him. When Hayate nearly kills Sakura, Yuga-O intervenes, buying enough time for a sealing team to capture him. In the anime, the second division is attacked by the reincarnated Tatewaki. They struggle until a Naruto clone arrives. Having known Tatewaki in life, Naruto reassures him about Shu and Chiyo's safety, easing his soul so he releases himself. Another anime-exclusive event has a reincarnated ninja spawning strange weather patterns across 3 battlefields. Rookie 9 members recognize him as Yota, their childhood friend. Only one is the real Yota, and the other 2 are disguised Zetsu. A Naruto clone finds the real one, reminisces with him, and puts his soul at peace before Yota destroys his own body to prevent further resurrection. Losing so many assets, Kabuto deploys mistakenly revived ninja like Torune. Torune leads a squad of free-sealed shinobi, but traps wipe out his team. He tries using a kenjutsu that could devastate the alliance, but Shino and Naruto's clones stop him and have him sealed. Kabuto also pits B against his predecessor, the reincarnated Jinchuriki Blue B. With Motoi's help, B engages him. Motoi nearly dies buying time, but B saves him and connects with Blue B telepathically. Blue B finds peace knowing B found the purpose he lacked, and he releases himself. The anime also shows the Water Attack Raid unit overwhelmed by Zetsu near the 7th front. HQ sends the Thundercloud unit, but they also fall under pressure. Omoi leaves his post to help, eventually finding the Thundercloud unit and defeating the Zetsu with them. Back with Mu, his body splits after Naruto's clone attack. Only half was sealed. Kabuto uses the remaining half to summon Madara. Madara steps onto the battlefield and immediately demonstrates why his name carries so much weight. He wipes out most of the 4th Division with twin meteorites, then follows up with wood release Nativity of a World of Trees. Naruto's clone tries to hold him off but begins running out of chakra. The 3 remaining Kage, A, Tsunade, and Mei arrive to back up Gaara and Onoki. They tell Naruto to leave Madara to them. Naruto's clone disperses while the Kage engage Madara. They land some impressive hits, but it doesn't matter. Madara recovers from everything thanks to being an immortal reincarnation. As night falls, the fight turns even worse, with Madara spawning multiple clones, each using Susanoo. Outnumbered 5-1, the Kage are pushed to their limit. Kabuto's defeat elsewhere weakens the impure world reincarnation, and Madara is engulfed in light. But instead of being released, he cuts his connection to the jutsu and remains with an immortal body of his own making. Free at last, he leaves the Kage near death in an unseen clash and sets his sight on Naruto. Toby turns the reincarnated Jinchuriki into his own version of the 6 Paths of Pain, each with their former tailed beasts sealed back into them. He sends them out after Naruto and Killer B, forcing a direct fight. B manages to restrain and almost seal all 6, but they break free by shifting into version 2 forms. The battlefield turns chaotic, and Toby nearly captures Naruto until Kakashi and Guy arrive to block him. To tip the scales, Toby has some Jinchuriki enter full-tailed beast mode. The 4 tails swallows Naruto, giving its host Roshi a chance to reach out and explain how to free them from Toby's control. Naruto escapes from inside and rips out the chakra receiver, freeing Roshi and the 4 tails. Toby quickly reclaims them and responds by fully transforming the rest of the Jinchuriki. Watching Naruto's determination to help the other tailed beasts, the 9-tail finally decides to give him full cooperation. With their combined power, Naruto unlocks a perfected 9-tails chakra mode and frees the rest of the beasts too, but Toby immediately pulls them back into the demonic statue of the outer path. Toby continues the fight against Naruto, B, Kakashi, and Guy until he senses Kabuto's defeat. Out of options, he forces an early revival of the 10-tails, using the sealed Gold and Silver brothers who still carry 9-tails chakra along with one of the 8-tails tentacles. He places a barrier around the transforming beast and battles the 4 shinobi in the meantime. Their attacks fail until they figure out the link between Toby's intangibility and Kakashi's Kamui. Exploiting this connection, they land a decisive hit that shatters his mask and finally exposes him as Obito Uchiha. Right after Obito's reveal, Madara arrives, having defeated the 5 Kage. He noticed the 10-tails doesn't yet have the 8-tails or 9-tails sealed inside, and immediately tries to take them from Naruto and B. Kakashi and Guy defend the 2 while they attempt to destroy the statue, but they're too late. The 10-tails is revived. Meanwhile, Itachi, freed from Kabuto's control, sets out to end the Imperial World reincarnation itself. He tracks Kabuto to the mountain's graveyard and encounters Sasuke, who insists on joining him. They face Kabuto, who has armed himself with Orochimaru's research, the Sound Force stolen abilities, and perfected Sage Mode. Because killing him would stop the release of the reincarnated shinobi, the brothers are forced to defend while enduring his onslaught. With Susanoo backing them, they hold out long enough for Itachi to trap Kabuto and Izanami, an infinite loop. Defeated, Kabuto is compelled to cancel the jutsu, sending Itachi and the other revived shinobi back to the afterlife. Back on the battlefield, the 10-tails is restored, but not ready for its Eye of the Moon plan until the moon's position aligns. Madara and Obito buy time by using it to attack Naruto, Bee, Kakashi, and Guy. Before the killing blow lands, the allied shinobi forces arrive and manage to restrain the Ten Tails together. The success doesn't last long. The beast evolves, breaks free, and devastates the allied HQ, killing almost everyone there except Ao. Before dying, Shikaku relays one final plan to the Alliance. They execute it successfully, severing the Uchiha's control over the Ten Tails. The freed Ten Tails prepares Tenpenchi. Kakashi tries to warp it away, but Obito intercepts and drags him into the other dimension. The attack levels the battlefield, but Naruto shields the shinobi under his cloak, saving their lives. Before the Ten Tails can launch another strike, Orochimaru arrives with Sasuke and revives the Hokage. Hashirama binds the beast, and together the Hokage lock it in a barrier. The Ten Tails spawns clones to protect itself, but Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura manage to damage it heavily. Inside the other dimension, Kakashi and Obito fight. Obito argues his vision of destroying the world, but Kakashi rejects him and lands a serious blow, forcing him back to the battlefield. Madara tries to exploit Obito's weakened state to force him into reviving him, but Obito resists and instead seals the Ten Tails into himself, becoming its Jinchuriki. The Hokage attack Obito, but his new power nullifies their regeneration. The allies join in, but only Senjutsu techniques manage to hurt him. As the moon nears alignment, Obito evolves into the Ten Tails' final form, a massive tree that drains chakra from everything it touches. The allied shinobi, dwindling in numbers, launch one last push. Naruto and Sasuke strike together with support from the rest, and manage to rip the tail beast out of Obito, defeating him. Black Zetsu immediately seizes control of Obito and forces him to revive Madara. Back in life, Madara lacks his Rinnegan and temporarily immobilizes Hashirama to steal his Senjutsu chakra, giving himself a way to sense his surroundings. When a white Zetsu delivers one of his Rinnegan, he summons the demonic statue from Obito and quickly seals all 9 beasts again, including Bee's 8 tails and Naruto's 9 tails. The Ten Tails is reborn once more. Sasuke tries to intervene, but Madara cuts him down with his own blade. To hold off the rest of the allies, Madara unleashes Sage Art Wood Release, true several thousand hands. Naruto, dying without the Nine Tails, is carried by Gaara to Minato, who still holds the other half of the Nine Tails chakra. Black Zetsu intercepts and takes it, but Obito regains control of himself and escapes to the other dimension with Naruto and Sakura, where he begins transferring the chakra back into Naruto. At the same time, Kabuto arrives to heal Sasuke, having changed his mind about the path he followed. Madara, now the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, continues to crush the battlefield. With no one left who can use Senjutsu, the only option is Taijutsu. My guy decides it's his time to act. He opens all 8 gates and launches into battle using the Evening Elephant and finally Night Guy. The attack rips through Madara, but Guy's body collapses on the brink of death. As Guy fades, Naruto and Sasuke met Hagoromo, the Sage of 6 Paths, who grants them portions of his power. Revived and empowered, Naruto saves Guy's life and rejoins the fight. He and Sasuke unleash their new abilities, Sasuke's Rinnegan and Naruto's full access to all the tailed beast powers. Overwhelmed, Madara hunts for his missing Rinnegan. He steals Kakashi's Sharingan to enter the other dimension, retrieves his remaining Rinnegan from Obito, and returns fully restored. With his complete strength back, Madara can cast Infinite Tsukuyomi, launching the world into the final phase of his plan. The Infinite Tsukuyomi spreads across the world. Sasuke shields Naruto, Kakashi, and Sakura, leaving them as the last free shinobi besides the reanimated Hokage. Everyone else is caught in their dream worlds, wrapped in roots of the god Navity of a world of trees, their chakra fueling their own prison. Team 7 emerges from Sasuke's protection, ready for the final battle against Madara. But before it begins, Black Zetsu hijacks Obito's body once more, then betrays Madara by fusing with him and transforming him into Kaguya Ōtsutsuki. She drags them into her personal dimensions, determined to wipe them out. Like Madara, Kaguya struggles against Naruto and Sasuke together, so at Black Zetsu's urging, she sends Sasuke to a different dimension to split them up. Naruto keeps her occupied, while Sakura and Obito, now in control of himself again, work to locate Sasuke and bring him back. When Sasuke rejoins the fight, Kaguya shifts them to a gravity-heavy dimension. Naruto and Sasuke are pinned down, while she attacks with all-killing ash bones. Obito and Kakashi throw themselves in the way to protect them. Obito uses Kamui to save Kakashi as well, sacrificing his own life. Even in death, Obito doesn't stop fighting. His spirit lends Kakashi both Mangekyo Sharingan, allowing him to manifest a full Susanoo and help fight alongside Naruto and Sasuke. The three overwhelm Kaguya, and when she tries to escape, Sakura lands a punch that holds her long enough for Naruto and Sasuke to use Hagoromo's seal. The tailed beasts are pulled from her body, Madara is expelled, and Kaguya and Black Zetsu are sealed in a massive 6 paths Chibaku Tensei, locked away in another dimension. With the battle over, Team 7 is stranded, but Hagoromo and the spirits of the past Kage summon them back, along with the tailed beast and Madara. Hagoromo praises their victory, while Madara, weakened from losing the Ten Tails, accepts his defeat before dying. The Hokage and the other Kage spirits return to the Pure Land, and the war finally ends, but peace doesn't come instantly. Hagoromo explains that ending the Infinite Tsukuyomi requires Naruto and Sasuke to join hands, yet Sasuke has his own plans. He imprisons the tailed beast and declares his intent to kill them along with the current Kage. His vision is to take full control, judging good and evil himself to prevent future wars. Naruto refuses, and the two clash at the Valley of the End. They fight until exhaustion knocks them both out. By sunrise, Sasuke concedes defeat. Together, they dispel the Infinite Tsukuyomi, release the tailed beast, and the last Zetsu fades away. Sasuke's crimes are forgiven through Naruto's influence and Kakashi's leadership as the new 6th Hokage. In the years after, the allied shinobi forces reorganize into the Shinobi Union, an open alliance for any village wanting to preserve peace. By the time Naruto becomes the 7th Hokage, relations between the villages thrive. With no wars draining resources, technology advances quickly, and Konoha develops into a modern city towering over the Hokage monument. Not everyone benefits. Some shinobi lose their livelihoods when militarization dies down. Hidari and Ashimaru turn to mercenary work to survive. Kido Sumiki, worried about the Anbu's shrinking budget, starts causing disturbances just to justify their existence. A faction in Kyugakure rejects peace, wanting to revive its bloody mist days. Ao, celebrated as a hero during the war, grows bitter over his injuries and disillusioned with the peaceful era, eventually joining Kara while abandoning his shinobi identity. Though the Akatsuki collapses, its ideology continues to influence others. The Ryuha Armament Alliance and Shin Uchiha embrace its ideals. Boro builds a cult, preaching that the Infinite Tsukuyomi was salvation and claiming the Ōtsutsuki were humanity's true saviors. He accuses the alliance of selfishly undoing it to maintain power. Victor, another war veteran, loses an eye and a leg, but secretly steals a splinter from the God Tree. He retreats to the Land of Valleys, founding a pharmaceutical company as cover for his attempt to regrow a God Tree and produce a chakra fruit. His aim is to restore his body and achieve immortality. Ōtsutsuki clan invasion. Kaguya's arrival and defeat raised more questions about the mysterious Ōtsutsuki clan, and Boruto, Naruto's next generations, expanded on their story. The Ōtsutsuki are an ancient extraterrestrial clan, treated like gods. They're parasitic by nature, roaming dimensions for thousands of years to fulfill the Ōtsutsuki will. Their doctrine pushes them to drain planets of life to evolve towards godhood. Their method is always the same. Plant a 10-tailed seed, let it grow into a god tree, siphon a world's chakra until it's barren, then harvest the chakra fruit for themselves. To activate the god tree, one Ōtsutsuki is sacrificed to the 10-tails, while the other oversees cultivation. The intended sacrifice survives by embedding a kama seal into a vessel to ensure their eventual resurrection. 1,000 years ago, Kaguya and Ishiki came to Earth with this mission. Kaguya was meant to be the sacrifice, but she turned on Ishiki, taking the chakra fruit for herself and leaving him for dead. Ishiki survived by shrinking his body and hiding inside a monk named Jigen. Meanwhile, Kaguya grew attached to Earth, even falling for a human named Tenji. She consumed the fruit and used its power to end human wars with the Infinite Tsukuyomi, at first being revered as a savior. Anticipating her clan's return, she transformed the victims of the jutsu into a white Zetsu army, sparking fear that turned her into a demon in human eyes and a traitor to her clan. Kaguya gave birth to Hagoromo and Hamura, the first humans born with chakra. Her lust for power grew, and she fused with the god tree to become the 10-tails. Hagoromo and Hamura defeated her, sealing the beast with 6 paths, Chibaku Tensei, and creating the moon. Its chakra was sealed in Hagoromo, while its husk, the demonic statue, was sealed on the moon under Hamura's watch. Before her defeat, Kaguya created Black Zetsu to carry on her will. Hagoromo spread Ninshu to teach chakra as a force of connection. Before death, he split the 10-tailed chakra in the 9-tailed beast and chose his younger son, Asura, as his successor, sparking Indra's jealousy. Black Zetsu fanned that rivalry, ensuring that it passed to their reincarnations. Hamura, meanwhile, led the Ōtsutsuki to the moon, whereas Tenseigan became their sacred treasure. Over centuries, the branch family twisted Hamura's decree, believing Earth needed destruction. Civil war broke out, with the branch wiping out the main family using the Tenseigan. By the Fourth Shinobi World War, only Toneri remained. Believing Hagoromo's world had failed, he tried to fulfill this false decree by kidnapping Hanabi Hyuga and stealing her Byakugan to awaken the Tenseigan. He was stopped by Konoha Hanabi's rescue team, and upon learning Hamura's true intent, Toneri chose to exile to guard the Earth in solitude. Years later, during Naruto's era as 7th Hokage, Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and Urashiki were sent to investigate Kaguya's disappearance. In her lava dimension, they found her scrolls and learned of Earth's Jinchuriki. The group targeted Killer B, defeating him and absorbing Yuki's chakra. Soon after, they appeared in Konoha during the Chunin exams, launching an assault that shook the village. Momoshiki kicks Naruto aside while Kinshiki tears through the stands and tries to strike Sasuke and Sarada. Boruto fires his Kote at Momoshiki, but every attack is absorbed into the Rinnegan on his hands. Sasuke explains to Naruto that the two are after something far bigger than Kaguya ever was. When Naruto asks what they want, Momoshiki makes it clear. They intend to gather Kaguya's scattered chakra, cultivate a new chakra fruit, and refine it into a cinnabar panacea, a substance granting immortality and overwhelming power. Kurama's chakra makes Naruto their prime target. Momoshiki and Kinshiki launch into battle, forcing Naruto and Sasuke to combine Kurama, Sakura, and Susanoo into a massive defense. Momoshiki laughs off their efforts and hurls a colossal black spear, enhanced with the power stolen from Boruto's Kote. Naruto allows himself to be taken to protect others, while Sasuke shields Boruto and Sarada. In another dimension, Naruto is bound while Momoshiki and Kinshiki begin extracting Kurama. Half of the beast chakra is drained before Sasuke, Boruto, and the 5 Kage intervene. Sasuke fights Momoshiki while the Kage engage Kinshiki, but Kinshiki falls quickly. Momoshiki then consumes Kinshiki, mutating into a stronger form. Naruto and Sasuke fight him together, nearly overwhelming him until Momoshiki traps Naruto in boulders and burns Sasuke. Even weakened, Momoshiki survives thanks to Katsusuke's Kote, which he uses to restore his strength by absorbing his attacks. He pins the Kage with shadow paralysis and prepares to execute them. With no other choice, Sasuke pushes Boruto to act. Boruto's Rasengan frees the captives, but Momoshiki grows in rage, consuming more chakra to push back. Naruto gives his son chakra, forming the parent and child Rasengan. With Sasuke buying time, Boruto lands the decisive hit, destroying Momoshiki. Momoshiki's spirits linger, speaking directly to Boruto. He warns that Boruto's blue eyes will one day take everything from him, marks his palm with Kama, and then fades. Meanwhile, Ishiki got a hold of a juvenile Ten-Tails and plans to use it with Kara to grow a new god tree on Earth. Since Kaguya betrayed him and left him injured, Ishiki originally intended to sacrifice Jigen to the Ten-Tails, though the resulting chakra fruit would be weak. Kawaki was meant to be his true vessel for resurrection, but time wasn't on Ishiki's side. Jigen's body was breaking down, and Kawaki's Kama hasn't fully matured. Things shifted when Momoshiki revealed Boruto as his own vessel. With Boruto set to revive as Momoshiki, Ishiki decided the boy would make a better sacrifice, producing a far stronger god tree and chakra fruit. But his plans collapsed. Amado Sanzu and Koji Kashin betrayed him. Kawaki broke free as his vessel, and Ishiki met his end. Momoshiki saw Ishiki's fall as an opportunity. Kawaki may have lost his Kama, but 80% of his data remained in him, making him nearly an Ōtsutsuki and still a potential sacrifice. Boruto fought back control before Momoshiki could act, but Ishiki's fading soul passed the torch to his devoted follower Code, urging him to fulfill the Ōtsutsuki will. Later, against Code, Kawaki tried to kill Boruto to prevent Momoshiki from ever coming back, but Momoshiki wasn't about to let that happen. He burned the last 18% of his Kama to save Boruto's life, tying his own soul to the living world, but giving up on the chance of resurrecting fully. That remaining data merged completely with Boruto's DNA. Momoshiki tells Boruto in a vision that he is now a complete Ōtsutsuki, which makes him a potential sacrifice for the Ten-Tails. The earlier prophecy about losing everything still hangs over him. Even after this, Momoshiki continues to haunt Boruto's mind, commenting during missions, mocking his choices, and warning of the fate he foresees. He admits Ada's ability altered reality itself, switching Boruto and Kawaki's roles in everyone's memories. While Momoshiki tries to break Boruto's spirit, Boruto pushes back, clinging to his lineage and resolve. Most recently, after surviving encounters with the god trees, Boruto shocks Momoshiki by offering a deal. Lend him full power and cooperation against the new threat, and in return, he will hand over his body once the battle is done. Hence, the main conflict in Boruto's story is the ongoing clash with the Ōtsutsuki clan seeking ultimate power and their devoted followers who threaten the peace Naruto fought so hard to build. But it's not just about saving the world. There's also the next generation of ninja figuring out who they are and what it means to carry on the shinobi way. For Boruto especially, the struggle hits close to home as he tries to step out of his father's shadow and come to terms with his own identity.